Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has formally reaffirmed the country's support for Ambassador Olara Otunnu's candidature for the position of United Nations Secretary General during a meeting with representatives of United Nations Security Council member states at State House in Entebbe. The meeting provided an opportunity for the president to officially present Uganda's nominee and rally international backing for Ambassador Otunnu's bid to lead the world's premier multilateral organization. Introducing Ambassador Otunnu to the diplomats, President Museveni described him as a distinguished Ugandan statesman and seasoned diplomat whose extensive experience within the United Nations system makes him well suited to lead the organization at a time of increasing global challenges. Museveni noted that he has known Ambassador Otunnu since their days at Makerere University, where he served as the guild president. He also praised Otunnu's fluency in English and French, describing his multilingual ability and broad diplomatic experience as valuable assets. Museveni said Ambassador Otunnu's decades of service to the international community, combined with his experience in Uganda's political landscape as former president of the Uganda People's Congress UPC and a presidential candidate, had prepared him for the role. He also noted Uganda's credentials within the United Nations, particularly as contributions to the regional peace and security and its progressive refugee policy.
Quite unique, because he was Secretary General of the UN for some time, and was in the General Assembly. He will tell you the details, but he's really the type of person you would need in the UN system, because he's very much aligned to it. He speaks French, speaks English very well without a tribal accent. So I hand Ambassador Olara Otunnu to you so that he can brief you himself.
In his remarks, Ambassador Otunnu thanked Museveni for the government's endorsement, saying several Security Council members had sought assurances about Uganda's commitment to his candidature following previous unsuccessful attempts. He outlined his extensive international career, having served as Uganda's permanent representative to the UN, President of the UN Security Council, Chair of the UN Commission on Human Rights, President of the International Peace Academy, now International Peace Institute, and the United Nations Under-Secretary General and Special Representative for Children and Armed Conflict. Ambassador Otunnu said his experience spans peace and security, humanitarian affairs, human rights and development, adding that his leadership style is rooted in consensus building and dialogue. He said conflict prevention, maintaining international peace, supporting peace building and promoting post-conflict recovery should remain the United Nations' top priorities. He also presented his vision for strengthening the organization through institutional reforms aimed at improving efficiency, coordination, and accountability. On development, Ambassador Otunnu said the Secretary General should play a stronger convening role in mobilizing long-term financing for developing countries with credible development plans but limited financial resources. He further called for greater global cooperation on emerging technologies, particularly artificial intelligence, saying the United Nations should bring together governments, experts, and the private sector to ensure technological advancement benefits all humanity. Ambassador Otunnu also pledged to promote transparency, merit, and inclusivity within the organization, saying recruitment should reflect the UN's universal character while maintaining the highest professional standards.
Some of them, when I visited them, had questions to ask. And I said to them, the best person to address these questions to is His Excellency the President himself. Because among other things, some of them said, but the history that you referred to on two previous occasions, when the government of Uganda intervened and blocked my forward movement of candidature, and they said, is there been a change of mind? Is there a new situation? Is this a serious commitment? Will they really do a serious campaign? And I said, the best person to hear from is the President himself and the government of Uganda, because they are the ones who put forward this nomination. So I'm very, very glad that we are having this meeting, and I hope their excellencies will feel free to ask you the question they were asking me in the chancelleries, you see. In terms of really my background, we've really distributed some materials, so I'll not take up too much time. But I think it is fair to say that most of my working life has been at the United Nations and in United Nations related activities.
Representatives of Security Council member states welcomed the opportunity to engage with President Museveni and Ambassador Otunnu, outlining the priorities that will guide their governments during the Secretary General selection process. They commended Ambassador Otunnu's international record and welcomed his emphasis on peace and security, development, human rights, institutional reform, and emerging global challenges, including artificial intelligence. The diplomats also recognized Uganda's contribution to regional peace and security, particularly in the Horn of Africa and the Great Lakes region, as well as its internationally recognized refugee policy. Former Prime Minister Right Honorable Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda reaffirmed Uganda's commitment to securing broad international support for Ambassador Otunnu's candidature. Museveni announced that Dr. Rugunda would lead a Ugandan delegation to engage governments in various capitals as part of Uganda's diplomatic campaign. Dr. Rugunda described Ambassador Otunnu as a distinguished Ugandan statesman whose service at both the national and international levels has prepared him to lead the United Nations. He said Uganda believes the time has come for Ambassador Otunnu to realize his long-held aspiration of serving as UN Secretary General. He also appealed to the diplomats to convey Uganda's message of support to their respective governments.
We will give you full support. So that articulation, Mr. President, in my view, was extremely important. I hope that the ambassadors will clearly convey that message to their respective governments. In national politics, he remains a clearly strong pillar, and as the President said, he was both a leader of the Uganda People's Congress and also a presidential candidate. He competed with the President. And we think it is now the time to actualize the long postponed ascendancy of Olara to the position of Secretary General of the UN. And we ask you to play your role in that direction. I thank you, Mr. President.
The meeting was attended by ambassadors representing both permanent and non-permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, including Somalia, Denmark, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Pakistan, Russia, the United Kingdom, France, the United States, and other member states.